Hello, lovelies. Hello, family. This is Kimberly Purpose, and welcome to my channel. Um, Today I want to do an interesting video. I'm sorry I've been away for a minute. Like I said, I was gonna try to continue to do more frequent videos, but I've been having a hectic schedule with work and studying a lot. But I am definitely trying to keep this video schedule going for you guys and keeping connected with you all. But I saw an interesting topic that's really hot on YouTube and all over social media and just media in general about the reparations that are owed to um, American um, American Aborigines, the Indigenous people of the Americas. They call it ADOS, and which is actually represents Africans descendants of slaves. Or some people read it as African Americans descendants of slaves. But with this particular video, I wanted to talk about how some of these politicians, people who are deciding to run for office as president, like Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders, and some of the politicians like this guy here, James Clyburn, who has different opinions and views as to how whether or not African Americans are entitled to uh, reparations due to the mistreatment our um, of our ancestors due to slavery, which is also AKA prisoners of war, the Indian Wars, which is often left out of history, but is actually a fact that a lot of the indigenous people here in the Americas were actually captured and thrown into slavery, which is also the prisoners of war. And that is often not mentioned in history because they want to keep this narrative going that they brought everybody over on ships, when in actuality, majority of the people that they had that were enslaved, they were enslaved due to wanting to keep us from being entitled to the land rights here in this particular country, in this landmass. But as far as Camilla goes, you know, uh, some of these politicians are for reparations, and no, very few of them are. But actually, majority of them are against it. Now, this particular, this article sort of caught my eye here because I was just trying to research it, and I saw it on. It's not really an article; it's just a little parent summary about this particular politician that a lot of people are really upset about. This article comes from Eurorep Electronic Urban Report. This is Lee Bailey's, and it was published a couple of days ago. And it just says here, Congressman James Clyburn in hot waters with indigenous voters and ADOs for saying reparations impossible watch. And it says, and this was published on March the 7th, and it says, did Congressman Clyburn really say reparations is impossible while the biggest reparation discussion in generations is happening? And it says here, this is the politician right here who's saying it's impossible, which is crazy to me. It says the highest ranking Black person in Congress, James Clyburn, is in hot waters with indigenous folks after his remarks stating reparations are impossible on Tuesday. Across Twitter, Black America and ADL's American Descendants of Slaves follows that. Oh, I like this title. This is even better. American Descendants of Slaves. That's a perfect. I'm just looking at this. I'm glad they put that down, descendants of slavery. The only problem I have with that is saying slavery. When you do it that way, people don't realize that Caucasians, the Greys, were also in slavery too. And if you do that, they'll try to say that they're entitled to it too. So that's why I'm gonna probably do another video on that because it's a slippery slope. You got to be careful with these folks because it's like every time we try to get any type of benefits from the mistreatment of our ancestors, other races of people try to put their hands out and get a handout, especially Caucasians. They're notorious for doing that. Getting handouts for something that they do not have no right. Like affirmative action it was initially for the American Aboriginals, the indigenous people, but unfortunately that went to everybody else except for us. We get a small portion of our affirmative action, and we get some of it, but a lot of it goes to Caucasian females, and they shouldn't be getting anything because they are all, they're pretty much reaping the benefit of great supremacy. So everybody else gets these benefits except for us, and we get less and less as more and more others get it. That's why we need to be very careful as to how we label this as slavery. I would say put prisoners of Indian wars, descendants of prisoner Indian wars. But I'm slavery is right, but you just gotta be careful that it excludes Caucasians, because slavery was never like it was here. For Caucasians, they were really indentured servants. They were able to get off and work for a short period of time and be free. Well, our ancestors had generational slavery, which was passed down from generation to generation, and so that's a clear difference, and that's why Grays should not be entitled to any of these reparations that we get, or any other ethnic group aside of the indigenous Americans that are here. But it says here, I like how they put American, but they need to be clear with American because they're still trying to label Caucasians as American, and it needs to be clear as it's excluding Caucasians, Grays, and make sure it's mentioned that it doesn't include them, because they always try to find ways to put their hands into the money pot, and it needs to be extremely clear on that. But it says here, followers that makes reparation a national talk point for a Democratic presidential candidate voice their displeasure. So a lot of people are really upset with this guy because he is saying it's impossible. And I disagree, because this country spends billions of dollars on war efforts globally. And a lot of monies are going into these wars, and it could be paid towards us, the indigenous people. And it's crazy to me. But as far as reparations go, I like the fact that Marianne Williamson had opened up a discussion. For those of you all, she's I think she's like a motivational speaker and a new age type. She's into spirituality a lot. And she's thinking about actually running for president. I'm not sure she's still doing so, but I believe last month I read an article about her considering running for president. And she mentions that indigenous people here, the aka African Americans, get reparations in the millions. But I believe her talk is just barely opening up, because we're owed actually trillions of dollars, not just millions. And because this country was built on our ancestors' back, and also they stole the land from our ancestors. And to this very day, they're still doing slavery through the mass incarceration of our people. And that's why we have broken homes, and a lot of women, the indigenous women, have a hard time finding husbands because most of our men are in prison, and they're thrown in prison for nonviolent crimes, which is not right, and they, for minor stuff that most people who, especially Caucasians, walk away from and don't even go to jail for. Our men are thrown in jail for a long time, and that's why it's breaking up the homes, our households, and that's why the male is missing out of the home. But that's a whole nother video. I can go on and on about that. But I was just pretty much saying that she opened up the discussion in a way, and along with a few, her but a lot of these politicians who are Democrats, like Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders, I'm very disappointed in him. I saw some of these interviews. I watched the other fellow YouTubers like the Phil from the Phil the Vice Show, and also Lisa Cabrera. She talks about it as well, and many others that discussed how Bernie Sanders is pretty much against it. He was getting a lot of these the votes from the young Indigenous people here in this country, and I'm hoping that his comments that he had made on media make people open their eyes and realize that this man is not for us. He does not want us to have reparation, but I find it quite appalling and ironic that his people get lots of money all the time, tons of money from the United States in reparation, the Jews. And how can they get reparation for only being discriminated against for only 40 years? I say at the most for the Holocaust, where we had hundreds times more discrimination, like 400 years of slavery, 500 years, really 500 years to be more exact, of Jim Crow, slavery, all mass incarceration, killings by cops, all of these, the Indian Wars, which they tried to erase, which actually took place because we were kicking butt in those times. And they don't want to admit that. But, it doesn't equate to, and that's not even nearly equivalent as to what we've been through. And so, if him of all people should be more understanding, but he's not. And since he doesn't have an understanding, we need to teach this man that, he cannot have our vote. If you're not for us, then you're against us. And it's pretty much that he's against us getting what is rightfully ours and that's owed to us. And it's long overdue. Another thing is Camilla, she was saying, she piddled the fence. One minute she says she's for it, and one minute she just won't vote. And we need to just stop giving away our votes and, tell these politicians that we mean business. Show them, that we are not voting for you. You're not getting anything from us unless we see an agenda. And not just an agenda, an action plan that will be implemented, not this BS they give us like, oh, it might do something. No, you will do something. And that's what we shall demand, that you will do something. And the thing is, too, when we get our reparation, because we're going to claim this, it shouldn't go to no institutions, because too many graves have their hands in that, such as these schools. They like to do that, where they can micromanage where the money go. No, the money needs to be a check that actually goes to each Indigenous person that is a descendant of the slave. And this can actually be documented. They got records of who the Indigenous people, the Negroes, because it's actually listed in the census of all the families that are truly Indigenous here to the Americas. Because if you are listed as Negroes during that time period, you can trace your records. That's why I say it's very important that everybody go back and trace their records in the family tree. And I also found out that you can track your records online. You don't necessarily have to go to the our National Archives. You can also get it online, and me do another video on that as well, showing how to do it online, because that's what I'm going to start doing. Because some of us are not able to, or don't have time to run over to the National Archives, and may not be very close to it, but you can also get this information online as well. And that's why it's very important that we get printouts and keep after actual records of who our family and our ancestors are. So this is definitely key. And we also need to learn from Dahl's Commission because a lot of stuff we got messed over so many times. And Dahl's Commission is another example of how we were supposed to get land rights and monetary rights, but it was not distributed like it was supposed to, went straight to the graves. That's why I said we should be very precaution about this, and very be monitoring, looking at things very closely with a fine tooth comb, because they always try to find ways to put grays as beneficiaries to whatever we supposed to get, and they should not be included. They should be excluded, because they are the ones that impose this on us. All these discriminatory, evil deeds they have done to our people, and to this very day. We have to ensure and make sure that it goes to our descendants, to us and our descendants, and not to their people, because they're not owed anything. They stole. They are the thieves. And if you're the thief, you don't get anything. You are the one should be punished. You should not get anything. And so that's why we have to be very careful as to how it is distributed. And I definitely don't think, and we're not children, because they try to say that, oh, we need to be monitored. No, we do not. We know how to manage our monies, you know? And we're not dumb. We're educated people. Uh, we need to learn how to connect among ourselves, and know how to spend it among ourselves, so we can thrive like we did, like our ancestors did. But as far as just, having it go into institutions that they run and manage, no. Having it going back to their people, no. It's something that goes directly into our account, the money, into our money in our pockets, and that we receive as individuals who are descendants of the indigenous people here. And also, it should also go to, we should have land rights. I agree with Phil. Phil mentions that on the advice show, that we should have land rights, and I agree 100% with that. We should have portions of land, and not lands that's been destroyed already by these special elites, that's already damaged and toxic and poison, that they have done with their companies and stuff. No wastelands, but lands that are in excellent condition, that's clean and pure, that we can have, that haven't been tampered with. Because when y'all stole it, it wasn't destroyed, it wasn't dirty, it wasn't polluted, it wasn't filled with radiation. You got pure land. When you stole it, we get pure land back that's owed to us. I see the ways they try to bullshit us and get over, and that's why we need to hold their behinds to the fire. You know what I mean? Cuz, excuse me. But I would like to see what you think about this reparation. I think we are on the verge of things, and I do believe that we can afford it, because all this money goes towards wars all the time. Money's going to Israel constantly, and since Israel they find them resources to send it to Israel, and technically, their atrocity never happened in the United States. The United States should not be sending them anything, as far as I'm concerned. The Holocaust didn't take place in the United States. The Jew Holocaust did not happen here. It happened in Germany. Germany should be the one. Europe should be the ones paying them. And the Holocaust here in America, is the victims, which is us, we never got paid. And I do believe that it will level the playing field, and that's what they should go. They don't want to level the playing field, and that's a big concern that I have with them. They don't want us to have access to this wealth, and because they don't want to keep great supremacy alive, and they know that if once we have money, that's power. And once we have our lands, that's power. They don't want us to have equal footing. They want to keep things the same. And no, it's status quo, but their time is up. The gig is up. Everything is up. It's over. It's coming. Their little empire is coming down. It's not intended to last, for life, for forever. It's not till infinity. Every great civilization comes to an end, and the little empire for the Greys is coming down. It's time, and it's long overdue, and the gig is up. And we see you, and we see the little games and foolishness and shenanigans that you play, and it's not going to continue. And this reparation is a great start, and it's something that needs to take place, but it needs to be on our terms, not on the Greys' term, and is not something that And plus, I agree with Phil too. He mentioned too that it'll fuel the economy. I could see how it could do that. And I think the greatest concern I have is let's learn how to keep things in house. We, could see it with the entertainers and our athletes and, people constantly giving money away back to the community of the grades. We need to learn from this past mistakes and make better decisions as to how we manage our ancestors, our assets, and how we have it distributed and going down into, passed down from generation to generation for our future descendants, so that it can be a brighter future and a better future for them, and they don't have to go through the pains and atrocity of what we've been through, or our ancestors who've been through even more. But I can go on and on and on. I'm gonna be quiet now. This is a really hot topic. I would love to see what you all think. Do you think that we deserve reparation? Do you like the title of ADOS as being? Do you believe that's the best title for reparation? I like to use Americans, but I think we need to also make sure we put down as it excludes Caucasians, so they understand it's not for them, and also excludes native among the Mongoloids Indians, because they already got their reparation and they still getting money and not paying tax dollars and going to school free. We're the ones that are not getting anything. And so it needs to be clearly defined and also clear as possible as to who it goes to, and to ensure that it doesn't go to institutions that graze, micromanage, or have their hands and footing on, because they're always constantly looking for loopholes, so it goes back to them. And we know that they are crooks and know how to rob people, rob us blind, because they want to keep this hold on how things are. But their time is up, and nobody's not going to keep on letting them freeload off and mooch off for our talent and our money and our minds and our spirit and our soul. It's time for them to stand on their own foot and do things on their own. And then it's time for equality. No more them walking on our backs and us holding them up so they can feel like they feel better, especially with these stupid tests that they do, the IQ test. They always try to say, that they created for themselves to make them feel smarter, when it's very dumb. If you are smart, you don't need a test to prove that. That's based on you and yourself. That's a test for Caucasians. That's like us creating tests that make us feel better, to say that we feel better. So we're going to have a test that's about us, for us. So, and make you take it so it can make us feel like we're smarter than you are, which is silly. But a whole nother topic. But please leave your comment. I enjoyed talking about this because I think it's something that we do need to discuss and see ways that, how we can make it a reality. And but please like this video. Don't forget to subscribe. I have a website, Purpose Counseling and Wellness. Please check it out. I also have a school that I'm working on. Keep you guys posted. There's a lot of things I'm working on, a lot of projects. I keep you guys posted. But till next time, peace, love, and peace, family. And bye-bye.